different ideas of how to get there, but we all have to understand that so that we can disagree civilly. And if we don't get our opinion, if we don't win the argument, we have to move on. We can't hold grudges and take it to the next meeting. You have to move on. And so in terms of conflict resolution, it's always good to understand diversity goes hand in hand with those diverse opinions. It's good to understand who you're talking to. It's good to understand the benefits that everybody brings to the table and make everybody feel valued. But conflict in Roswell, we've been full of it really for the last 10 years, and it's time to tamp things down. You know, here in Roswell, if you go 10 miles in any direction, things get a lot worse real quick. If you can't be happy in Roswell, you ain't gonna be happy. That's just a fact, okay? We've got it pretty good here. So, like I said, the best thing you can do for conflict resolution is to try to avoid the conflict in the beginning by working with everybody, knowing who you're working with, and just communicating to everybody in an honest and open way. Not getting too proud, right? Wanting to win all the time, but just being honest and open about what your idea is, and then moving on if it doesn't work out.
Thank you. Each candidate has a set of priorities for what they would like to accomplish. Can you share a little bit more about your priorities and how you will work with your colleagues on the council to achieve them?
Absolutely. So my biggest priority is the least interesting priority, but if I don't have it, then nothing else matters. And to me, that is I want to bring a servant leadership style to this post. A servant leadership style to me means that I value everybody else's opinion. I value the staff at the city. I value and respect what other people have to say, and I can rally and support the mission at hand. If I can't do that, if I can't convince people of my opinion, if I can't get things done, then it doesn't matter what else I think, right? I might have the best ideas in the world, but if I can't get other people on board, then it doesn't matter, right? I can go write a book and maybe somebody will buy the book. So that's my biggest priority is being a servant leader at this post. One thing I'm very, very passionate about is, number one, I want to protect our neighborhoods. Okay. I don't want high density in our neighborhoods, but the biggest thing I really want to do is fix the Holcomb Bridge corridor. Nobody drives up 400, gets off at Holcomb Bridge and then goes, I'm home, right? You get off and you go, okay, I got to get through this so I can get home. And we need to make the Holcomb Bridge corridor look and feel more like home, more like Roswell. And I have some very specific plans that I would love to see pushed through up and down the Holcomb Bridge corridor, where we can make infrastructure improvements sidewalk improvements, landscaping improvements, hide more of the cables that are overhead, get the commercial property owners involved, and make it look more like Roswell. Maybe the signs don't have to be green and white. Maybe we can brand the street signs so it looks and feels more like a branded city, so people know that, hey, we're at home. You know, we're in Roswell now. And hopefully that's going to inspire those commercial property owners to want to reinvest in those commercial properties and make a push to get more office in Roswell. As Don mentioned before, our tax base is totally skewed. You know, Alpharetta just doubled their homestead exemption because they've got such a huge commercial base, and they're building parking decks all over the place. And something we really need to look at in terms of trying to increase the values of those commercial properties. And a lot of that is repurposing those buildings towards office. So those are my two big priorities right now that we'll talk about.
Thank you. You have just over 2 minutes for a closing statement.
Okay. And I wrote a 2-minute closing statement, so that's perfect. Again, thank you so much for hosting this forum, and so we can get the word out about all these candidates. As I said before, my mission will not be to keep my council seat. My mission will not be to get credit for motions presented. My mission will be to push Roswell towards being the best place to live, work, and play in the entire country. Every decision I make will be based off of that idea. I want to bring a servant leadership style to this post. We're not going to motivate our city staff by telling them what to do and berating them, or disrespecting them by not showing up at committee meetings. We need to everyone brings something special to the table. We all have talents. Our community is made up of people who help each other and pitch in. It's a place where, while we may have differences and we may believe in different things, we still all understand that we're working towards a common idea. When you vote November 5th, you're voting for the person you can trust. And I can tell you everything you want to hear right now, right? That's easy. But if I'm not honest, then who knows what I'm going to do once I get elected? And even if I'm telling you things I earnestly believe in, if I don't have the ability to see them through, then none of that matters. I have a proven track record of working with people and getting things done. If in 4 years I don't think I'm getting things done, believe me, I will be the first one to jump off the city council and go back to my happy life right now with Brenda and our 2 boys. I'll vow to protect our neighborhoods and to fix the Holcomb Bridge corridor. And if you want someone who's honest and who's going to get things done, please vote for me, Jeff Smith, on November 5th. Thank you.
Thank you. Those were your candidates for post 2. Last but certainly not least, we have 3 candidates here for post 3. I believe there is a 4th candidate who was not able to make it tonight, but we will go ahead and get started. I'd like to invite up Ms. Kay Howell. And whenever you're ready, you may begin with your opening statement.
Okay. Can everyone hear me? All right. My name is Kay Howell, and I'm running for post C3. I want to thank BASIM and RCM for having us here today, and for everyone for coming out and taking time out of your evening. You know, back when I was a little girl, my mother taught me, along with my grandmother, about how democracy works. So I kept that in mind as I was going through getting my undergrad degree at UGA and getting my MBA from Purdue and recently getting my doctorate. Of course, I got another master's, but let's not talk about that. And with all those things, plus my thoughts on democracy, I said, you know what? I can take that plus my process improvement background, which I've been doing for the last 20 years, and I can bring that to the city of Roswell. So I've been doing that for state and federal governments. And I felt like, well, if I can do that for them and they love it, why not bring that to my home? I love it here. I've been here 20 years. And I like my neighbors. So why not make things better? And that's what I want to do. I want to bring my skill set, my education to those people that I see on a daily basis. And that's why I'm running for post C3.
Thank you. Can you give us an example of how you will make decisions for the diverse community here in Roswell? And how can you make sure that all members feel represented?
Right. So I understand how someone may not feel represented. I had a couple of conversations with a few executives from American Express, and along with some people from Coke, and how they operate. And what they were saying to me was the only way we can be successful, whether or not that's involving men and women in decisions or racial, cultural differences in people, that's the only way we're successful. So I think if we bring that kind of thought to Roswell, we can only be better, because you can't have a monolithic thought and think that you know everything and include people. So I think that if you allow everyone in the community, because that's one of my issues, transparency and cultural, involvement from the community, if you have that, then you'll be able to get a better thought and a better Roswell. We have a fantastic city. I truly believe that. I love it. But I think we could be better. And how do we do that? Well, we do that by including everyone. So allow people that may not look like you to come in and voice their opinion. You may not agree, but at least you can sit down, talk about it, and get something that works for Roswell. And that's what I would do.
Thank you. What is your approach to resolving conflicts that arise from differences of opinions? And how will you help to build consensus on city council?
Yes. So I am a project manager and process improvement consultant. And just recently I had I would say an opportunity for 2 executives. I found an issue in the process where there was minutes being lost on work. So that meant ultimately If there were minutes lost on work, that means that there was going to be an impact in resources. So with that, one of the managers had an issue that she was going to lose resources. And the other manager had an issue with, they were waiting on those business analysts or that role to help them with their process. So I had them both sit down and we broke out the whiteboard, identified the benefits and the negatives to doing what we were going to do, and we figured out a solution. So I think that most of the time when you're dealing with some kind of conflict, that's what you need to do. Listen to everyone logically, take the emotion out of it, and figure out what the plan should be. Now, what is that goal? That goal should be, for this instance, it should be for the city. And you know what? It should really be for the citizens. So let's take that into consideration when we're doing this. And that's exactly what I did there, and that's what I would do for the city of Roswell.
Can you tell us a little bit about your priorities on the council and how will you work with your colleagues to achieve them?
So on the campaign trail, I've been knocking on doors, and people have been telling me a variety of things, whether or not that's keeping the green space or building high density buildings, or people not listening to them. And the main thing that I saw was, I believe we have a transparency and a community involvement issue, because that's really the underlying issue. If we were listening and bringing people in, giving other avenues, similar to the coffee with the council, a larger avenue for having people come in if they don't have the schedule to come in on the Mondays at 7 or the 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock meetings, have another environment where people can come in and bring their kids and be able to discuss what's bothering them. I think that's what we should do.
Thank you. You have just about 5 minutes left for a closing statement. You're welcome to use any or all of that.
All right, well, I don't have a lot. I am Kay Howell. I'm running for post C3. As I said, I definitely need your vote. I would appreciate your vote. I thank everyone for coming here tonight. I am interested in bringing my skill set to the city of Roswell. I would like for you to take advantage of that. I wish that you get a council that you can trust and believe in, and I would like to be one of those. Thank you.
Our next candidate for post 3 will be Christine Hall. And whenever you're ready, you may begin your opening statement.
Okay. Notes. Okay, I'm Christine Hall, and I am running for City Council Post 3. I believe in Roswell, and like many of you, I believe we share a similar vision of Roswell, a quaint, historic, strong, and vibrant city with good schools and lots of green space and great parks. That's what drew us to Roswell 27 years ago. I'm running because I want to protect and enhance everything that we love about Roswell. I grew up in a close-knit, working-class community where my parents taught me the value of hard work, respect for each other, being true to your word, and being accountable for your actions. My deep affection for community and service started early in life, and that's what I want to bring to you, serving as your council member. I'm going to give you a little bit about my background. So my parents emigrated here to this country. I'm first generation. I learned to speak English in the first grade, or actually in kindergarten when I started school. And one thing that was interesting, when I started school, I grew up in Brooklyn in a very diverse community. There were kids from all cultures and countries that were in the same boat as I was. None of us spoke the same language, but we all got along. We went to recess, we had lunch together, we took naps together, and we learned together. And it reminds me of Roswell today, that we are a community. My mother is really the epitome of the American dream. She came here with little more than a suitcase, and she and my dad, they both immigrated, they worked very hard. My father passed away young, but my mother built a very successful real estate business. I worked in that business in high school and college as a realtor, and a broker. Once I finished college, I went into the lending, stayed in lending for several years until we moved to Georgia. And once we were here, we were ready to start a family. And through that process, we felt that it was a good time to have our own business. So I ran a business in Perimeter Mall. We brought our children back from Ukraine. And when they were old enough to start school a couple years later, they were also they were in ESL because English was their second language, but they didn't have that when I went to school, when I started. I got back into my financial career, my corporate career in finance, and I went to work for an international company, a tech company that was based here in the US and had the home base in Germany. So I spent a lot of time, I started as controller and then was promoted to CFO. I spent a lot of time traveling back and forth between Germany and the US. Currently, I work for Clifton Larson Allen. We are the 8th largest professional services firm in the country, and I'm the CFO for their Atlanta BizOps division. And what we do in BizOps is we provide outsourced financial services, and I serve as a CFO to several companies. Over the past 20 years, I've been very active in the community. Over the past 5 years, I've been extremely active since the new zoning code went into effect. I've been attending city council meetings, work meetings, and been active in all of the elections, or many of the elections. I've also been, the last 11 years, I've served on the PTA. I've served at many levels, at the local level, at the county level, district level, and currently I'm on the State Finance Committee for the Georgia State PTA, the Executive Finance Committee, and I support them. And that's about me.
Thank you. Can you give us an example of how you will make decisions for the diverse community we have here in Roswell? And how can you make sure all members feel represented?
I think diversity is what makes the world go round. My family is diverse. It's diverse through adoption, not just my immediate family, but my extended family. We have seen diversity grow in Roswell. I think I looked at the census is coming out, but we're at roughly 25% people in Roswell that identify themselves as non-white. So that has increased over the years, and probably when the census comes out, we'll see that number grow. When at the schools, we do something fun, International Night. I'd like to see us celebrate our diversity. That's really what makes things interesting. Diversity should be celebrated. At the company I work for, diversity and inclusion, we have a big push for diversity. I'd like to see the city become more diverse just in the hiring plan. Recently, the police, the Gap report came out, and that was one of the things they noted was that perhaps the police department could be a little bit more diverse and more representative of our residents, of our population.
Thank you. What is your approach to resolving conflicts that arise from differences in opinions, and how will you help to build consensus on city council?
Number one, respect and professionalism. And as a couple other people mentioned, conflict resolution it can be a healthy exchange of ideas. I mean, we do want to exchange ideas, and it's going to be very important to have an open mind. You need to be able to place your place yourself in the other person's shoes. Go back to your collective bargaining classes in school where you had to argue one side and then get on the other side and argue the other side. I think that's helpful to be able to see things from both sides. And you just work to find a compromise, to find a solution without compromising your own values.
Thank you. Can you tell us a little bit more about your priorities and how you will work with your colleagues on council to achieve them?
So health, safety, and welfare, that's really the main priority of our citizens. Keeping that as the base layer, we'll need to work on the strategic master plan. I'd like to see some priorities to work to really engage the citizens more. The city has reached out, is working on a strategic master plan for the city, and respondents are responding, but I think we need to ask more questions. There's going to be answers, and I think that's just the first phase. We have to continue to ask questions of the residents. We can't just assume to know things at face value.
Thank you. You have just about 2.5 minutes for your closing statement.
Okay, mine's going to be short. I think that we're formed by our experiences, what we've done in life, how active we've been, what we've done. All those things form us as people. And I feel that I'm the candidate in Post 3 race that combines knowledge of the issues from being engaged just at so many levels in the city, relevant professional experience, and the long-term involvement in our community, that I can bring those things to the table and really work to listen and serve you, the residents of Roswell.
And I'd like to invite up our last candidate for Post, Mr. Keith Goki. And whenever you're ready, you may begin with your opening statement.
Good evening, and thank you all who participated in making this forum happen. Thanks to all who came in person and those who are watching online to get to know the candidates better. My name is Keith Goki, and I've lived in Roswell for 22 years as a small business owner, a former naval aviator, flight instructor, and legal liaison, former HOA president, husband, and father. I bring to the table a unique set of skills and strengths that I believe make me highly qualified to represent you on council. My amazing wife of 20 years, Jan, is a nurse practitioner in oncology. I have 3 beautiful daughters, Kate and Frankie, who have moved into adulthood, and the youngest, Alex, who is pursuing her education in music and the arts, and still resides at home. My entry into local politics began 2 years ago because of a high-density project being proposed in a nearby neighborhood. You may remember the development. As the HOA president of Hollyberry, I felt it was important to learn about and understand both sides of the issues. So I invited the developer to come and speak with our residents to discuss the plans from the source. Eventually, I represented the residents of our HOA at City Hall to challenge the developer to build something more appropriate for a suburban neighborhood. Roswell's population has nearly doubled over the last 30 years to become a city of nearly 100,000. It is imperative that the state's 9th largest city grow in the way it conducts business so that we get this right for future generations. We need a well thought out strategic vision to get all of us into the next 30 years and beyond. A vision that drives the city's strategic plan, zoning, ordinances, budgets, and leadership, enabling us to have a clear blueprint filled with clarity for every aspect that makes us distinctly, uniquely, and proudly Roswell. Plans made today will dramatically affect life as we know it in Roswell for us, our children, and our children's children. We are all as diverse in thought as we are in age, race, religion, culture, political beliefs, and more. Having a seat at the table to share those thoughts is where we all belong. Working to bring diverse ideas together to create a better vision for Roswell. After leaving the military and in my late 20s, I went through a time of introspection as I searched for meaning, purpose, and the direction I wanted to take with my life in the coming years. I looked for and found inspiration from renowned figures in history. Mahatma Gandhi was one of those people and is someone I truly admire. He once said, "Our ability to reach unity and diversity will be the beauty and the test of our civilization." To deny that unity and diversity doesn't test us at our core would really be disingenuous. But to deny that diversity is imperative for our future success is foolishness. Litmus tests that gauge the worthiness of a resident's input are truly unacceptable today, as all residents and business owners should be given the opportunity to be included in the process as we define what Roswell is now and what we will become. The makeup of Roswell's residents are changing, and we have a perfect opportunity to bring those ideas to the table to ensure we shape our future by incorporating the best and brightest of them. Roswell's 2012 Strategic Economic Development Plan states, "This growth and diversity translates into demand for new businesses to serve the needs of these residents and the opportunity to train entrepreneurs to target these needs. These changing demographics will also increase the potential for more ethnic and cultural offerings in Roswell." Key aspects of building a better Roswell are trust in our leadership, transparency within our city government. That especially includes elected representatives, your city council members, and mayor. Secrecy and lack of transparency only serve to breed discontent and distrust between residents and their city government. My commitment to you is that I will do everything I can to make decisions that I make on council and bring them into the sunlight. In a private business, failure to listen to your customers usually results in them going elsewhere for their needs. With government, picking up and moving your entire investment of your personal life is impractical. It is therefore essential that city leadership go above and beyond the call of duty to act in a way and take action to better serve their constituents. For example, government-sponsored community meetings should be held in places that accommodate the lifestyles and beliefs of all the residents in a way that is inviting and comfortable. In addition, I would propose that multiple times a year, the city conduct a mayor and council session in East Roswell as a way to foster inclusiveness. Conflicts can only be resolved with open and honest conversation. But more importantly, the willingness of all to listen to one another. It starts with reaching your hand out to others every time you meet. This is so simple, and yet does not happen with all of our council members today. It's time we bring that simple courtesy back to city politics. The city of Roswell recently participated in a community-wide assessment of the police department. In that assessment, a need for community engagement was identified and strongly recommended. I look forward to working with the new police chief to implement some of those strategies and that encourage more police interaction and understanding of cultural differences, special needs individuals, at-risk youth, and more. I have a friend whose adult child is a high-functioning autistic young man that loves all things cars. Interacting with her son is very rewarding if you understand his rules of engagement. He interprets things most said in a conversation quite literally. He has a heightened sense of touch and hearing. As you can imagine, a police officer may be confusing and quite upsetting. An appreciation and understanding of his rules can make all the difference in the success or failure of that interaction. Our police force has a tough job, and we all appreciate the work they do for our community. I know I do. Because of these special circumstances, as well as many other situations, we can always look for ways to improve. Training is offered for this very situation and is very effective in streamlining conflict resolution and understanding. Our community-facing city staff, as well as elected officials, could benefit from this sensitivity training as well. Respecting differing opinions and being able to break down the details and work towards a common solution is critical. Elected officials should not be bickering on social media, but instead be leaders of civility and seeking ways to amongst each other and the community. With your support, I intend to reach out and do just that with each individual council member, the mayor, and community members. Knowledge and wisdom are not gained by talking, but by carefully listening. I promise to listen closely to all sides of an issue and make decisions that are best for residents and all of Roswell, not just special interests. Building those bridges begins with setting priorities. The first priority for me is to instill trust in our leadership. Steps to begin this process could include bringing back transcription, modernizing the mayor and council voting system so every vote is searchable by the citizens, a pledge to always keep meetings open whenever possible, avoiding decisions behind closed doors, encourage conflict resolution sensitivity training for all public servants, engage in respectful dialogue at all times with residents, business owners, and all community contacts, understanding that words matter, even when I disagree with their positions. Listen to community input and vote accordingly. Reach my hand out and shake yours, even when we disagree. As your city council member, it is my commitment to bring trust, transparency, leadership, and thoughtful change to the discourse. I will actively advocate for residents and business owners to become involved and participate in the democratic process so that all voices that wish to be heard are heard. Running for office and serving is a commitment. And with my family's understanding and as a small business owner, I'm fortunate to have the time to devote and serve the city. I humbly ask for your support and your vote for City Council Post 3. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, before we wrap up, I would like to invite a member of Lisa Holland's campaign team to share a brief statement from her. She is your final candidate for Post 3 who was unable to make it tonight. And I believe we have her son here with us. Just take a minute or two to read out her statement, please.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dawson Holland. I'm Lisa Holland's son. She is running for Post 3, and unfortunately, she could not be here tonight due to a commitment that she has made over a year ago. Today, she has given me a piece of paper and with her speech, and I will be reading it aloud to you. Thank you to the Roswell Mistrud for hosting this event, and thank you for the audience for taking the time to be here. My name is Lisa Holland, and I'm running for Post 3 for Roswell City Council. My apologies for not being able to meet you all tonight. I'm committed to a trip out of the country for almost, and you will find that commitment is something I prioritize. I'm also a 30-year resident of Roswell, where my husband and I raised our son. I retired in May from the Roswell Police Department after 35 years of service to my community. I started at 19 years old as a dispatcher, then worked as a police officer, training officer, detective, and spokesperson. I provided an open, honest communication to the public at all times and ensured we maintain the highest level of public safety in our community. I bring unique skills to the council position with experience in public safety, operations, and public relations. I understand the challenges and changes that happen within the police departments and the community. Roswell and nationwide changes are most important in our community, with vacant positions growing. I can help Roswell be a competitive employer, city safe. Roswell isn't an island, and we need to build more relationships with our local, regional, and state partners to manage transportation issues and to find a way to improve local situations. We can assume quite a few will live through the North Fulton area in the coming years. The metro region will add about 2.5 million people in the next 20 years. How we manage traffic congestion and keep our charming character is hugely important to me. Most police work is relationship building. I built a career doing just that. We need more relationships and less rock throwing. I've seen the power of positive, transparent, and collaboration within relationships that I've made through the police department. I've seen the power of positive relationships that I've made through small businesses through Roswell and connecting to each one of my citizens that I talk to. I would appreciate your vote on or before November 5th. Thank you.
Thank you. And just some reminders before we wrap up. If you have recently moved to Roswell, or if you've moved around Roswell, you have until October 7th to update your voter registration.